Good morning, good people. Hope you're doing well.
Guarda un minuto.
Let's see if it wants to play nice. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let me know if you can hear me. I think we should be good, but
Beate,
nonetheless, I think we
beate,
nonetheless, I think we
beate.
nonetheless. All right, I think we are good. Good morning. Popping in real quickly before I have to go head out to the VA here on the ones and twos in the morning. What is going on, everybody? Hope your day is coming along pretty well. Let's see. We are good. But yes, just wanted to pop in. I always like to test out different times. Sometimes the morning crew is kind of interesting to the evenings and all that stuff. But tonight we are talking VA claims, which is what you see behind me. Boop, boop, boop. Navigating VA claims. That's the agenda for the evening. Covering. We're actually switching up some of the stuff for the actual class itself. So excited for that. I think that's going to be cool. It's just always nice to kind of switch things around just a little bit. So um, if you're able to come on down to class, love to see you there. Let's see. But yeah, we're talking a little bit about VA claims. So always like to share some of these things. So that's always nice there. Let's see. It depends. So it's not so much what you get. It's a symptom-based conversation. So the rating criteria varies, again, from 0 to 50 or more. So a better question becomes, do you know what the rating criteria is for that? And then what exactly is the, whatchamacallit, the symptoms that you're at specifically. So let me see here. Dun, 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 dun. Let me see if I can pull it. Okay. That's a pretty good question. It comes up from time to time as well. Um, let's actually, because that was a good question. So let's take a look at it. Let me move this over here. Get rid of that. Don't need that right now. Let's look for seizures, specifically major and minor seizures. So as you see here, right, it goes from 10 to 100, but it depends again, where your symptoms are at. So if you're averaging at least one major seizure per month over the last year, there you have the answer to that. If we're looking at a confirmed diagnosis with a history, then 10. But again, we have to also look at how do we argue that service connection as well. So that factors into that. So that's kind of how that goes. So it's symptom based, right? So I don't really like so much the how much it gives. Well, it depends on what you got, right? Um, if we look at the neurology side of the house, boom, that rates as you see here from 0 to 50, depending on your symptoms. So that's kind of how that works specifically when we're looking at that. What's going on? So OPVR in the building. As you see there, checking across. Let me know the branch of service you were in and the years you served. I always like to ask and know where folks are coming from. So there's that part there. The MOS factor is not so much a deciding factor, right? It's more so, hey, you were exposed to something, your job was this, but it's about symptoms, right? Something happened in service, check, got it. Now, where are we today? If we're looking at just at, hey, what you did for a job, they're not paying you based off your job. It's more so current diagnosis today. And these are the things I'm going to unpack tonight in class as well in much more detail. Because obviously we can kind of go deeper down that rabbit hole. But even then, some of the things I'll touch on this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Link to the class is in my page. We're going to talk about understanding VA claims, how we help veterans in some shape, fashion, or form, looking at services that we have, then breaking that down. So about 40, 50 minutes of class, and then Q&A. So all the questions you may have, we'll kind of touch onto that. So just kind of a heads up for that. Hello, Earthlings from Turtle the One. What up? Let's see. HLR stake, I'm about 3 months in. It's a regular claim, honestly. So it can go anywhere from a few days to weeks to some months. So it really depends, honestly. As far as like what needs to happen, if everything is, if they can just do a quick fix, fine. But sometimes they may need more than that. So they have to request, examinations, new examinations, things like that. Then that changes, obviously, some of the things that have to happen. So just kind of a heads up there. Let's see. All right, so Nate in the building 4 years. What up? And then we have, actually, let me see if I can. I did this one time and I completely forgot that actually might be a thing. Yes, that works. Let's see if we could do that. Let's see. I want to try this. So let's go and give this a whirl. I want to try see if I can. Let me see if I can try this actually before I switch it. It's always cool to see everybody's questions and all these different things. So let's go for there it is. Boom. So we have everybody kind of able to jump on in. Your page helped me get to 100% PNT first try LP. Awesome. And that is great to hear. Shout out to you and congratulations on not having to go down that rabbit hole anymore. So shout out to you. Okay, let's see. So we got the HLRs, injuries, service connected. What about an injury service connected that causes secondary pain? Again, what's the disability we're dealing with specifically, right? So it's a little more complicated than that. Hello, AJ. You don't have to say hi that many times. I actually see you, so gotcha. Let's see. Yeah, you can just go away with that. Don't need that. Bum 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 bum. Let's see. Good morning. How does the VA treat you for PTSD service connected reasons, but they don't want to pay for disability? So this is a great question. So I like this actually. And this comes down to understanding some of the basics, right? So when we're talking about specifically, and I'll cover this again in much more detail this evening. But one of the things that I would offer to you is the following. So the question becomes, they're treating me for something, but I'm not rated for it. What gives, right? It's a good point. That's a good point. So let's go to this. Specifically, when we're looking at a disability, one of the things that gets missed sometimes is understanding the VA actually is looking at this from a few different ways, right? We have a current diagnosis, which you have PTSD. Then what is our service event or stressor? Just because healthcare is giving you something, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to be rated for it. So the VA is a misnomer sometimes, because the fact they rate you for something, diagnose you with something, doesn't mean they're going to rate you for that thing. And what I mean by that is that think of it like Social Security and Medicare. You're getting Medicare, right? You're being diagnosed with PTSD, etc. That doesn't mean Social Security is going to cut you a check. So when we're talking compensation, you still have to go to the process of saying, hey, I have a diagnosis. This is what happened in service, and this is my argument connecting those two. That's what nexus means. So one of these three things here above is missing, and that's what that happens. So it's very common for veterans sometimes to get denied, not understanding that, hey, you know, that's the reason why this was not service connected, right? Because, hey, you're treating me, you gave me a CPAP, you recognize my PTSD, but you denied me for this. Well, the argument is missing something, right? So healthcare, disabilities, two different things. But it's a great question that does come up quite a bit. Let's see. Any tips for GMAT going from? Yep, no, wrong. I have no context. Sorry, not my lane. So I can't speak to that. Sorry. But it's a great question though. So, as far as understanding how we're making these arguments, so yeah, shout out to you though for the good question. Let's see. Dun 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 dun. All right, so we talk about injuries themselves don't necessarily equate to a thing. Shout out to Jay. USMC's in the building, 4.5 years, 2007 to 2011. Let me see if I can actually make that a little bit. Boop, there you go. Let's see, Navy's in the building. The Marines are in the building. We got Air Force 20 years. You are welcome. Let's see. Kawana, Navy 20 years, 2002 to 2022. Where did time go? Calvin's in the building, 78 to 82, 90 to 91. Rated, not going for PTSD, chronic major depression disorder. Have you filed for any of those things, Calvin? That's the first question I would ask. Let's see, Mama Bell's in the building. Just found out I need 2 forms to resubmit a claim that has been denied, so I have to start over. Sadly, that's one of the biggest issues that happens at times, right? The not understanding some of the common reasons why things do get denied, and that happens quite a lot. That falls actually into one of these areas here specifically. So let's just jump into that kind of little preview of what I'll talk about tonight. But this is actually a thing, right? Common challenges, specifically incorrect forms and filing. If you don't know exactly how to file for a thing, sometimes you're missing things. You don't know that. That's a common challenge. It happens a lot. See it all the time. So sadly, you're kind of going through that process. Yes, Lando, it is live. So I don't do the thing. It just takes me time because I'm literally answering all the questions as they're coming down. So bear with me, Ghost Rider. Let's see. And I'm literally showing the chat, which is also the crazy part. I'm literally showing the chat of y'all talking. Anyways, let's see. How long is it taking for diabetes for something Agent Orange? Like regular claims. So just because you have doesn't like the one condition doesn't make it faster than the others. Regular claims, how it kind of goes about the process. What up, Austin? HLR, general anxiety disorder. Now I'm being sent off the CMP exam. When is the CMP exam? I would advise you, honestly, the best thing you probably could do is come to my class next week where I cover AC in your CMP. Much more than I can unpack here in a quick Q&A, and I can't talk about certain things. So when we talk about mental health, there's just so much that we have to unpack there. And the community guidelines. I could sit here and thirst trap and twerk apparently and freaking have crotch shots, zoom ins and all that, and I'll be fine. But when it comes down to talking about mental health and not being around or not wanting to be around, that's a violation. Make it make sense. Ron is in the building. What up, Cherise? Let's see. We got Cherise in the building. So we're live on IG. We are live on YouTube. And we are live on TikTok. So what up? Let's see. Okay, we got that one. Oop, no, let's not do that. All right, we got that one. Yes, it's live. Yes, I think so. Supplemental claim hasn't been updated since July. Any ideas why? The VA. I mean, that's just honestly what it comes down to, right? It's a backlog. They take a while. It's just one of those things, sadly, just takes some time. So, there really is not much rhyme or reason as to why these things take as long as they do. But it's just the VA. You know what I'm saying? What did you file for specifically? What was the issue? Let's see. But yeah, so one of the things I would definitely highlight is tonight we are talking navigating VA claims is one of the things I'm just kind of really hitting on real quickly because I'm about to head out to the VA in a few but tonight we are talking VA claims. So on my page, you can sign up for that. Head over to the link in my bio and you will see navigating VA claims. Boop, boop, click that, sign up, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Check out some of the other cool stuff. Maybe join our mailing list newsletter and go get some free downloads because they're the cat's pajamas. But yeah, so those are some of the things there that I would suggest. Let's see. Sleep apnea was denied. Next was submitted. 68% of the time, the VA gets it wrong. So literally do a search for my name, and you'll see that's actually a thing. Sadly, that's just what the VA has been doing. So sometimes the veteran has things correctly in place. It just happens to be that the VA gets it wrong in a few different ways. 68% of the time, they got it wrong. So that's something that I would say, take a look at, potentially having to appeal it just because it's just VA. And that's, it sucks, but it is sadly the process and the system that we're dealing with because the VA sometimes beyond that poo-poo. What am I looking for specifically? Yes. I just wanted to at least bring this up. So let's do that. But yeah, I have that video actually up. So if you checked on both here and over there, 68% of the time they get it wrong. And that's literally one of the points that I brought up, and I kind of show that there. So it's one of those things that kind of really, it's baffling sometimes because it's like, oh, wait, there's no way that actually happens. No, it's a thing. Sadly, it is a thing. And I'll show it to you right here. So this is an actual OIG report. I cover this a lot on my CMP class. But when I talk about the CMPs, I always make a point to focus on this one thing here, right? Oh, I'm not going to do my CMP. Well, the fact is this, right? The VA jacks it up in such a way where right here you see they put aside $6.8 billion to examine you, and they can't even get that right sometimes. That's the first part. But then here you see that 68% of the time, right, they did not follow required procedures. They did not request consistent evidence correctly. They did things wrong, and these failings, as you see here in the highlighted, resulted in inaccurate medical opinions, wrong decisions, denials, etc. This is literally an OIG report. The VA could improve the completeness and accuracy of the medical opinion requests for VA disability claims. So that's why I tackle these things the way I do. Everybody's like, oh, just go in there, tell you the truth, just tell me what's going on. Let me know how it works out for you. And even when you do it right, guess what? The system gets it wrong. This is a complex process. It's just, it is what it is. But yeah, they get it wrong. So sometimes you got to push back. Let's see. Vera called last week. She questioned why my mental DBQ was from out of state. Explain that. Why? Telemedicine is a thing. Crazy concept, right? You can have a CMP with somebody out of state. Why is it hard to get a rating for hearing loss? Service connected 0 with the second CMP? Because it's auditory discrimination. So it's not just what you can hear, sometimes what you can make out. Husband retired December 31st. When will he see his rating? January 1st at the latest. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's after you leave service. So it's, after the service part, but sometimes it's delayed. So it could take a little bit longer. So there's no real rhyme or reason as to how that may work. Let's see. But also check out our website at veteransnetwork.club. A lot of cool stuff there. Check out some of the things that we have, services, etc. And also check out the team because guess what? We're the cat's pajamas. And you can see who we are. We're real people with real names, and we do a lot of different things. So check out the live stuff. Check out the on-demand stuff. But yeah, that's the plan of action for this. What's going on, though, Sean? It is good to see you. Oh, wow, indeed. Oh, wow, indeed. You're very welcome. I was denied for neck damage. X-ray showed inflammation of the spine, inflamed sinus. Okay. So what's the argument that you are filing for then? But yeah, I just wanted to kind of pop in very quickly and just highlight again some of the stuff that's going on. So this is this evening. And again, it's not in Zoom. I mean, it's in Zoom, so it's not here live. But if you're able to come on down to class, you are definitely welcome to join us because it's always cool to spend some time with our veterans. So If some of the content's also very helpful, share. Don't be stingy. Share with a veteran. Let them, see some of that stuff. Even some of the, tongue-in-cheek stuff that I put up sometimes or whatnot. Like the last one with the apparent spouse who was, enjoying a dildo or some shit. So, um, let's see here. But yeah, that's some of the basic things that I wanted to hit on there. Not gonna spend too much time. Success rate for appeals, it really is subjective, so that means nothing because I can tell you 10 people who they're doing it wrong, they're missing things, so your success rate is 0 because you're missing things. If you don't know how you're fighting something, it's like, what's the success rate in a boxing match? Do you know how to box? Do you know how to fight? Do you know how to scrap? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's your skill set? Did you prepare, etc.? So it's very subjective. I don't like those, like, what are the odds or what are the approval rates? That's irrelevant because a lot of times those things vary from individual to individual. So it's not so much a, what's the success rate of a thing? No, what did we file for specifically? What did you file for? How did you file for it? Et cetera, et cetera. So there are some different factors that go into that. It's a valid question. But if things are there, again, but like I just showed, literally 68% of the time, the VA gets it wrong too, right? So there's a lot of factors. There's also the veterans who file things incorrectly and get denied, and then also times when the VA gets it wrong. So, it's a complex process, and that's one of the biggest things I always like to at least, highlight to people, right? There is a complex process when it comes to this thing called VA claims. Claims are easy, the process is complex. And tonight we're talking how to navigate it and how we help veterans. So that is the plan of action for this evening. Well, I'll just pop in real quick. And kind of just at least put that out there, catch the morning crew, hoping you're well. Hope that if you have some exams coming up, check the content out, share it. Good luck on your exams, ask questions, reach out. If you can attend a class, I would definitely encourage it, especially because of the fact that when it comes to, being in the classes we do, it's live and we can talk about things that I can't talk about here, right? Like, for example, I'll kind of close with the rating criteria. So let us go to the CFR, right? So I specifically want to talk about, let's go mental health, right? I literally cannot talk about a good majority of things the way I would at the 70 or 100 range, and arguably the 50, just because of how, community guidelines work. You know what I'm saying? Like, even showing it like, oh, trigger words in there, blah, 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 blah. It's just literally a crapshoot sometimes. But we have to understand how things are rated, right? Not just randomly throwing around keywords. I don't like keywords. It's more understanding that. So that's one of the things there. Tonight, I am going to talk about the proposed changes for sleep apnea and mental health and tinnitus. So I'll kind of touch on that a little bit because that's always something that's been coming up a lot. No changes have been approved yet. It's still pending. So that's something that I will cover on, and we'll kind of go from there. Maurice is in the building. Army, what's going on, my brother? Shout out to you. Army's in the building. 100% PNT. We got Mark in the building. Navy 20 years. 100%. Glad to see you this morning. Hope you're well. But yeah, so some things to kind of, put in perspective. But yeah, so that's a plan of action. Hopefully you can make it on down this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. I do a class every Wednesday. So tomorrow. Tonight it's navigating VA claims. Next week is acing your CMP. Tonight's session is free. Next week's session is not free. It's $47 for the ace your CMP class. If that's outrageous to you, then don't come. Just watch the content. Scroll down infinitely. It's fine. I mean, options are good. I like options. So there's that. But tonight it's just the basics of VA claims, how we help vets and so forth. And then we'll have a Q&A. So I'll be answering questions with my team as well. So that's always a good time. I enjoy doing that. But I've taught a class on a Wednesday night, at least for the last 4 or 5 years now. You know what I'm saying? With a handful of times that I haven't done it in that time frame. So, but Wednesday nights is the way to go. Mark, I took your class and it helped. There it is. There's the live. We're done. Take a screenshot of that. Mark concurs. And again, I mean, it's one of those things where like we have to continually say so people know, because again, people don't know, they wouldn't know. But the fact of the matter is, if so not tuning in, you have to sign up because it happens in Zoom. So that's one thing I want to make note, because sometimes people are like, hey, I came on your, here, I didn't see it. It won't happen on social media. So you have to sign up. So the link in my bio will take you there. So when you go to the link in my bio, it'll take you to the My Stand store, and then there you'll be able to click on, navigating VA claims. So that looks a little something like this. Click on there, sign up for the newsletter, grab some freebies. That's all in there. But navigating VA claims, that's the one you see right there, and then you'll be golden. So just to make sure, because I've had people actually say things like, "I was waiting, I didn't see your class." I'm like, it wasn't going to happen here. Um, but just to just to be clear, because some folks like, crap, I was waiting. Um, so yeah. But if you the class has value. Again, people get value out of it. Mark, as you just saw here above me, can concur to that. If it wasn't of value, what I mean, people would be like, nah, this crap, I went, this just sucked, right? When you have people that can come online and show, hey, I saw your stuff, like, someone above, I went to 100, your class, your content helped me, this thing helped me, whatever the case may be. It's value, right? So for some people, it's a class. For some people, it's watching some of the content. It really depends, right? Options are good. I like options. The biggest thing is get the support and help you need. 94% said my intent to file last week. Check. Yeah, so you have a year now to start, looking at that. So what's the 94% for? What do you have? What are options? Are there increases? Are there secondaries? Are there presumptives? So a lot of different ways that can kind of go. But yeah, you're a sneeze away. A sneeze away. Let's see here. Yeah, there it is. An LP's point. That's what I want to kind of focus on. Your page helped me get to 100% PNT first try. Thank you. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that, I can very authoritatively say. Many people can't say that, because a lot of pages sadly want to sell you something and they don't give you anything. It's like they just kind of tease you with like, changes are coming. What do I do? Link in my bio. Dude, answer the fucking question, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, but for some people that's enough. Deep dive, you know what I'm saying? Binge watch stuff. It's funny. I wake up some mornings and I'll just see like my notifications, and I'll see like 100 videos liked by the same person or favorited, and it's just like someone's going down a rabbit hole. And then eventually they'll reach out, ask a question, get perspective, and things like that. So, but yeah, check out the options we have. Different services. I like them. Spell good luck on the things that you may be filing for. But yeah, let's see. Sal, what's going on, Salvi? Husband is 30%, currently trying to get. What's 30% for? My sister. Good to see you. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon, wherever you may be. Success rate for a high level review. SMC in attendance after duty to assist error. My friend had a high level review claim accuracy request and they found duty to assist. That's a good question. So really it comes down to a conversation of like, those are very unique, right? Because not many people do file for like aid in attendance, right? So like if you meet the requirements, sometimes they get it wrong or they deny it for things like you don't have to be bedwritten for that, but the other things have to be there, right? Who filled out the form, was it accurately submitted, etc. So it could be a thing where they may have missed a thing and the duty to assist may help it, but it's like a 50-50. Just because they found duty to assist, it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be a thing that'll help per se. Let's see, PTSD. So good one. Let's go jump onto that. So next week I'm doing HHCMP. Tonight's just the basics, but this is a pretty straightforward thing, right? So for your husband, if he's going to go for an increase, it really then becomes a conversation of symptoms, right? Like I just had this up here. So if he's at the 30 range, again, this is me being very tongue in cheek. So like, don't sound clip a thing and be like, well, DP said no. A lot of veterans do the following, right? Without even looking at the screen. I have suspiciousness. I have some sleep issues, mood issues. I have anxiety. I have some disturbance of mood, and sometimes I forget some things. That right there literally is what pretty much every veteran says without really going into details. And that's where 30% lands you, because you're not saying anything, all right? You're just kind of superficially saying things. I check doors, I have sleep problems, I forget things. You're not saying anything. At the 50 range, right, we have to get a little more into the details, right? I have a difficulty establishing effective relationships. My 50 to 100 video and my 100 to 70 to 100 video, I cover this, right? But at this 50 range, we're arguing things are difficult. At the 70 range, it's a difference, right? We're talking, I have an inability to do a thing. So when I look at something like this, right, it's like you have a veteran and I start to get into your shit and I start to get, like when I do my one-on-ones, I'll freaking tear into somebody. And more so saying, like, you think you're going to say something, you think you're profoundly telling me a thing. Like, I checked the logs and you ain't saying nothing. Talking about the fact that you've been divorced 3 times, your kids don't talk to you, you've been fired 2 times this month alone. I'm saying, like, oh, that's what we're talking? Yes. It's not difficult for you to have relationships. You have an ability. You cannot maintain them. You can't work for people, and people can't work for you. 70 range, right? Like understanding how to actually unpack some of that, right? At the 100 range, gross inappropriate behavior, gross impairment of thought process in some shape, fashion, or form. Again, there are things going on, not just doing the things that people say. Because I get the big one, right? Go in there looking all disheveled. I don't give two shit. You can show up in a 3 fucking piece suit and still get ready to write. It's not about that. It's more so, why are we neglecting appearance and hygiene? What is going on? Are we victims of MST or some traumatic event? Do we not want to be around anymore? Is the chronic pain so much so like I don't give a damn about what the hell I look like? Who wants this? Unpacking the why we have these symptoms. These are the things that veterans do not understand. And when someone says, "Just tell me what's going on," how the fuck are you gonna do that when you don't know exactly what's going on yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand, but it's the problem where it's like, I'm not saying it is because I helped a buddy of mine do a thing. Like, no, I do this. And I see it all the time. Veterans think they're saying something, but they're not, because we are ingrained to suck it up, drive on, drink water, take Motrin, change socks. You don't admit defeat. Nobody cares. 2 tears in a bucket, right? How's the weekend? Not long enough. How you holding up? I can't call it. All these canned things are happening. So when I teach my class, HCCMP, I'm going to trigger you. Like, people say that all the time. Like, like one, last week, a veteran was like, I was triggered listening to some of the stuff you were talking about, but it made sense. And I needed to hear it. I needed to understand where I needed to go. You're a woman, for example, with chronic fatigue syndrome, back pains, IBS, migraines, headache, etc. Well, guess what? You're not in the mood because you have female S arousal disorder, right? Sierra Echo X-ray. Now, how do we speak to these things? How do you feel as a woman that you're unable to satisfy and get down with your man? The reality is you can't do shit. You can't. What position you're assuming? You're a bump on the log. Doggy what? Riding what? Ain't no cowgirl going on. Oh, DP, that's kind of graphic. The fuck it is. We're talking about disabilities here. You can't perform. As a man, you're popping how many pills just to get it up? You can't do shit. That's why your wife probably left you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, snap. Yeah. Like, look, we ain't ready for this conversation, especially not here. But it's understanding this is a reality. The things that we're doing, we're taking to our graves as inappropriate things, the things that are taking place. You'd be surprised. Veterans just don't know. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm like, what did you think this was? A Boy Scout conversation? We got people offing themselves who don't want to be here anymore. They have ideations of not wanting to be around. Why? So, to the point of your husband, right, is being able to speak to the argument. So now your husband, because he's at 30, a new claim, it goes from the 30 now. So you're at 30, and now how has it got worse? So that's where the conversation begins. We don't have to establish the PTSD that's been conceded. Now we must talk to the 50 symptoms, the 70 symptoms, the 100 symptoms. Here's a hack. If he can speak to things at the 100 or the 70, you speak to that. Someone's going to say, well, I don't have all the symptoms there. I shouldn't talk about that. Incorrect. So that's also a bad thing that we do as veterans, because we don't know. So a few things. There's a concept here on the CFR. It's called the higher of two evaluations. And the higher of two in English means when there is a question as to which to assign, 50 or 70, 70 or 100. The higher of two evaluations will be assigned where the disability picture more nearly approximates the next rating bracket, aka your husband's at 70, he hits all the markers at 70. However, he's starting to show symptoms at the 100 roundup, right? So when a veteran says, I don't have all these symptoms, I'm not going to talk to that, higher of two, you're doing it wrong. But again, you don't know these things because, again, who told you a thing? So all you look at is the rating criteria and say, well, I have all the stuff at the 50. I'm only going to focus on that. I'm not talking about anything else. All right. So something to consider there for sure. You have to experience all those things listed. Yeah, so there's the answer. You don't. Because again, on the rating criteria, it specifically says due to symptoms such as. I'm not a English language scientist, but this little thingy right here between all those keywords, it's and/or, right? I have symptoms such as ideation and/or obsessional rituals and/or. It's and/ors. They're not and statements. So I have this and this or that. So those are the things that I would highly encourage, that we must understand how we're going to argue these things, because if we don't know, then again, you shoot yourself in the foot. Then you talk to me, you're like, oh shit, I didn't fucking even know. I'm sorry, I can't help the last 10 years you didn't know a thing because someone just said go in there and show how bad it is. But that's nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get the intention, but we want to be effective now, right? We want to be strategic now. So that's what that comes down to. Focus on the things you experiences at the higher levels. 100%. Start at the very, very top. Don't warm up, because by default, if I'm telling you I don't want to be here anymore, we've established depression, anxiety, and all the things below it, right? If we're able to speak to the higher symptoms, we have now an argument to make for all the things beneath it. So, for sure, focusing on that. Again, this is the stuff that I go into very much detail in our live HRCMP classes, because there's a lot to unpack. So I frame these classes from the perspective of, what is a CMP, right? What is expected of you? What is the CMP supposed to do, right? Do's and don'ts. Bad CMPs. What to do if you have a bad CMP, right? And then Q&A for all the different things that we do. Let's see here. Who's he assigned to? Oh, damn it! I'm gonna chop you in the throat. Your damn username throws me off here, Sandra. Goodbye. The way it came across for some reason, I don't know why. I saw the face, and I was like, man, I was about to say that too. I was like, you look like somebody I know. You're good. Yeah, no, higher symptoms. Higher symptoms. Um, Sandra. Let's see. But no, you don't have to experience all those things. Very good question, though. The VIA problem list code diagnosis. Yes, it is. It's a good question. So the problem list is diagnosis. How many migrants a month? So it's really looking at. Let's go there to neurology. So at the 50 range, we're specifically looking at frequent, completely prostrating, prolonged attacks. Again, frequently, much more frequent than an average of one a month, right? So more than one a month, and the economic inadaptability at the 50 range is looking at, hey, how is this affecting my work? Am I banging out of leave? Am I out of leave? How is that affecting my income potential? Whatever the case may be, we have to talk about the income impact that we have, aka the work impact that we have. So more obviously than one. For some, it's one weekly. For some, it's 2 or 3. But the intensity, the frequency, and the economic inadaptability at the 50 range. But a great question, Jay. I like it. I love it. And yes, he is rocking with the best. Amy. Let's see. Top of the morning, Josue. Let's see. Let's switch back over to see my peoples on the TikTok here. Missed the deadline. Should I still file while I'm in? No, you have to wait till you get out, because it's the way it works. On my way right now to the CMP for tonight's hearing loss. Any tips? Speak to the truth. Speak to where's your current symptoms right now. They're pretty subjective as far as what you hear, so you didn't have it before. Check out my tonight's video. But you don't, when did it start? What are your symptoms? Humming, ringing, etc. Things of that such. Auditory discrimination, right? What do you hear, and now what can you make out? Those are big things too when it comes to the hearing loss. So it's not just I cannot hear a thing, but can I make out what you're saying? Can I read your lips? Like, auditory discrimination is a big one too. But yeah, pretty straight to the point. So nothing crazy there, like in the grand scheme of things. But also, how does it affect you, right? How are the symptoms, sleep-wise? When do these things aggravate themselves? What do you do to mitigate them, right? I didn't have this, then I was exposed to these things in service, and then I started to have this stuff. I have now these symptoms, and so forth I go. But good luck. Gonna file for IBS secondary PTSD, hoping that gets me. Are all no, not all 100% are PNT. You can have 100% not PNT, and you're still subject to reviews. PNT means that all conditions you have are static, and they shouldn't be improved in any shape, fashion, or form. So, but secondary PTSD, again, what's your rating? Where you're at? Are you 94? Are you 90? IBS goes to 30. So if you're at 90, 30 won't get you there. Submit a BDD claim to VSO. What's the appropriate timeline to hear back from the VA? Within that range of that last, 90 days is when that kind of goes. So sometimes it takes longer, sometimes a little sooner. It's the VA. So welcome to a little episode called Post-Service Reality of Hurry Up and Wait that continues. Top of the morning, Josue. Be blessed, my brother. If you have a service connection disability that was approved, are you entitled to back pay to the effective date your intent to file? So your back pay will go to the effective date of the disability that was approved. Shark, they denied me. Now the Army wants to med board me, but my med board in a way that I'm not fit for duty anymore and wouldn't be able to have the Army. What did they deny you? Like, give me some context because that doesn't make any sense to me. 90% med boarding, some other service connected. Check. Just got diagnosed with a bulging disc. Okay. Okay. Thanks for the follows and sharing the videos. Advice about bulging disc. Well, again, so how are we arguing that, right? Like, again, I need so, you know, I'm very kind of cautious about really kind of going too much in details, you know, with stuff, because obviously, you know, I can't really start asking all the stuff here in a public forum like this. But documentation is the biggest thing. How we're going to argue it? Did something happen, right? If you're still in service and you have it, you file for it, you have to have a diagnosis. Those are the biggest things. You're out of service now, that's a different conversation. On your side of the house, being med boarded, so 90% med boarding, you have a diagnosis, you know, you can make the argument for that. And even if things present themselves after you get med boarded, you can still file for them too. So it's not like everything has to happen as you're exiting service. Sadly, with veterans, or soon to be veterans, we've seen the horror stories of older veterans, and it's just like, F that noise. I'm not going to sit here and wait for this shit forever. I want this stuff resolved as I leave. Sometimes you got to wait and go to the process. So, they said it's not service connected, and I want to be like, bye, thank you. I get it. Let me see. So I want you guys to see kind of what I try to catch up here with, because sometimes stuff just gets convoluted, and then some stuff gets stripped, so I don't see it. So this is literally what I'm saying. Da, 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 da. Yeah, and that's again, this is also the challenge where it's like things don't go according to plan, and sometimes you have to be persistent in arguing and, you know, following up on things. Sometimes getting help from somewhere else or requesting different providers. Secondary claims to be filed, fully developed claims. I'm saying should I do that? If you can do that, I would advise that. But if you can't, and a standard claim also, either way, one just might take a little bit longer than the other. When getting out the military, does the VA automatically get medical records? I don't like the automatic stuff because it's a VA, man. They jack shit up. If you're able to make sure they get stuff, I would suggest it. Or do you have to request them? You can, but they have access to do stuff. Lots of it's more digital now. So, but if you can, for sure, I would encourage that. There was something I did not add when I initially filed years ago, and it came up again. Can I add it? Yeah. Again, you just have to make the argument for it. So that's one of the biggest things there. How much does the Nexus letter cost? It depends who you go to. I want to say some of the folks we work with, I think like $4.99 or something like that, $5.99. You know what I mean? Anything over that, I think it's just excessive. Something like that, $5.99. But if you go to my page, scroll down, you'll see me and Tara talking on one of the videos. There you'll be able to see her stuff. Mike, Romeo, Papa, Yankee. Do a Google search. MRPY. They're awesome. Joined the military with flat feet, and I'm out of service now. Diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, so it's an aggravation claim. Dr. T. They didn't claim tinnitus, but I just had to see people hearing. Will they do that? They can add it to it, but if not, you can come back and add it and request it. We do a high level review. Do they make decisions without calling you? Sometimes. Is it normal amount of days a supplemental claim takes past 160 days mark can be completed? Sadly the VA is like that, so they can go over that. 5,000 outrage. The doctor gave me that as an estimate. It depends also, like, what is it? Like, I've seen some specialists that do work with like TBI, PTSD separation, and stuff like that. So, but even then, $5,000 for a letter from a doctor. What kind of letter are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Because I can find you one for like $500. How long you be in step 5 review process? Again, that's just the VA. Helping weight, alive and well. Would I be able to claim my kidney donation during service on the VA claim? Again, why was that? Like, how was that a disability, right? Like, what's the problem we're having now? You donated it free willy-nilly? I mean, like, that's a little bit of a different conversation. My VA psychologist won't add any mental health symptoms and send secure messages to my VA records. I have no other issues with VA providers. Any idea why? You know what? Honestly, depending on you're going to file J-free, F it. You have a diagnosis, you can move on. At a CMP, you can speak to the symptoms, and that's really what matters. So, F them. Sadly, can you speak on separation physical? The VA should complete after getting out and filing. The SHA, Alpha Bravo, the self-assessment one, and when they do, sometimes that carries over for sure. How does a high-level review work? Pretty much you get denied, and you tell the VA, hey, I want to appeal this. I disagree with this. And you're saying that everything is correct, and they'll do a second review of another pair of eyes. However, there are instances where the VA in turn will look at it and say, hey, you're missing something. So, like, guess what? 1 + 3 is not 4. I mean, 1 + 2 is not 4. You're missing something. So, guess what? Supplemental claim, 1 + 2 + 1, now that's 4. So, a high level review is looking over your work. If you're missing stuff, pretty much it's static at that point. So as far as being reduced unless fraud comes into place, there's just no real way for them to take that away from you. That's really what it comes down to. Again, very quickly, because folks popped in, I'm about to cut smoke here in a little bit and head over to the VA because it's one of those days. But I wanted to at least make sure that I mention this again. Tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, we're talking VA claims. I'm teaching my lab class, Navigating VA Claims, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. It's not on Zoom. I mean, it's in Zoom, not online. So you have to sign up for it. Hit the link in my bio. You'll see it there. Sign up for Navigating VA Claims. And the biggest thing there is touching on what are VA claims, the foundation of things. It's a free session. So, we don't have to get our panties in a bunch when it comes to this stuff because you'd be surprised. Anyways, intro, who we are, how we help veterans, and then a Q&A. So if you want to ask more questions, guess what? You have me live in Zoom, and I can actually say shit that I can't say here because, God forbid, I say something that's triggering or something that's not a community guideline thing. You'd be surprised. I get strikes for some time for saying things. However, people can thirst trap and zoom into their crotch on lives, and that's fine. I won't be doing that. But that's happening tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. George, you rock. I appreciate you. Would you be able to claim my kidney? Okay, right, I answered that one. CMP tomorrow with QTC, hoping to bump up 0 rating now that PACAC. And the PACAC won't necessarily bump you up. It's a symptom conversation. So what is a 0? And is there room for an increase? Because if you don't have it there, it may not change. Let's see. They said my condition wasn't in service records, but I have complaints. And so you can file for it arguably afterward. I'm filing PNT after 9 years. Congrats, Corey. But yeah. Hopefully the content is helpful. Tell a friend, share it. Don't be stingy. That's the biggest thing. I don't like to do too much clickbaity stuff, but check the content, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. I love when people send me like DMs and they ask me all these questions. I'm like, dude, you've never liked this shit or fucking comment on anything. Like that's the dues you gotta pay. Share something, comment something, help the algorithm. But no, tonight, navigating VA claims. That's the game plan. So I hope to see you there at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. We continue the conversation of all these different things. Can I go to the VA hospital for everything? Now, you can. Yeah, you can, for sure. You could have, even beyond the PNT stuff, once you're over a certain amount. But yeah, you can. Alrighty, so that is my time, my good people. I have enjoyed hanging out with y'all for a little bit here in the morning while I waited for my better half to get ready so we can roll up out of here. So we're back at it this evening. Could you speak on the future claim process things later? The future, can you speak on the future of claim process and things later? Tonight I'm covering that. So tonight I'm going to talk also about the proposed changes for sleep apnea, tinnitus, and mental health. So that's an aside that I'm going to be doing tonight. So Robert, you kind of caught me at the end of what I'm doing, but tonight that's the thing, navigating VA claims, and I'm touching on the proposed changes for mental health, sleep apnea, and tinnitus. So that is what I'll be doing this evening. So links in my bio, sign up for that. It won't be online. I'm saying it again because it's always someone who's like, I didn't see you. Did you sign up? All right. Bring your questions, spend some time with us. It's in Zoom. Keep the camera off, type your questions, feel comfortable. Come on down. Worst case scenario, you just log off. But that's all she wrote for that. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for the likes and all the good stuff there, my good people. But I will be back later on. Be good, y'all.